Real Talk Radio, another Unmasking.
Circle the wagons, here I come.
Might as well jam out to it. That's pretty much all we need to hear.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in that. It's like puts me in video game world, makes me feel real animated. Like,
yeah, that's I considered wearing my Nintendo 64 hat today, but decided not to. But
you should have totally did it, dude.
Yeah.
So Real Talk Radio, it's another edition of Unmasking, and I'm here with the Bandit.
Midnight Bandit, thank you very much for having me here. I couldn't be more honored to be on this podcast. It's so cool. Thank you.
Dude, you're so welcome, bro. And, you know, the Midnight Bandit, the Bandit, Jared, whatever you want to call him, you know, he has three, but we won't get into semantics, but he reached out and wanted to discuss a very important topic, and that is mental health in relation to music. So we're going to be touching on that today, but we got to find out more about you, Bandit. So how long you been making music?
Well, I'd like to, just so I could fit it in with the whole topic and everything. There's two sides to this intro, or this, the backstory or whatever. So there's the part where I first got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which if you don't know what that is basically schizophrenia and bipolar at the same time, which has its ups and downs, I guess, quite literally. But that was 2009. And I didn't know what I was doing with myself, and I knew I wanted to be creative. But previous to that, I'd been to a small film school, and I'd been drawing my whole life. And I loved music, but I never thought that I'd be able to get into it because I didn't have that much experience with like musical instruments. And I guess to me, I thought that was the way that you played music. You either do like with a piano or a guitar or something. And then and then I just met this one guy. It was in 2012 after my close cousin had passed away. And I found this guy and I thought, I really want to do music. I've been envisioning myself on like the stage doing music and, you know, just rocking out. How do I do this? And then my friend showed me FL Studio, which Fruity Loops, right? And I immediately got hooked into it. I'd say for the first majority, I've been doing it since 2012, so this makes 10 years. Up until 2 years ago, that's when I started, me personally, in my own opinion, getting kind of good at it. So, but I still enjoy what I do. So.
Yeah. So you were making music before or after this diagnosis?
After
the diagnosis.
Yeah, I've been listening to music ever since I was like a wee little guy in the crib. My mom would turn on the radio, and every single time MC Hammer's "Can't Touch This" would play, I'd just start dancing along to it. So that's my
So
yeah,
let me ask
yeah.
you, what led to this diagnosis? You know, if we're going to talk about it, I know from personal experience that it's not like you just wake up one day and you're like, hey, I think I'm a little different. You know what I mean?
No,
So
no. What kind of led to that? Well, it's the theory, right? Because you can't say it's medical fact, but the theory is that it comes from your genealogy, your gene pool, or whatever. So my grandmother found out later that she had schizoaffective, then she had dementia, and she passed away. And she was taking risperidone, which is an antipsychotic and stuff like that. And I only started noticing it when I was about 16, and I started to get rapid anxious thoughts. I'd want to kind of isolate from my friends and people because I started not trusting them. Started to get really paranoid, and then that morphed as the stress started building in my life. That kind of morphed towards more delusions, which are like you have like a million thoughts that stream through your head every day, right? So, but imagine believing every single one of them, and then you believe that one, and that one goes on to a scarier thought, and that one goes on to a scarier thought, and it's an inability to cope with that. And by the time I was 19, because I was born in 1990, so in 2009, I was hospitalized because I got in an altercation with my parents, and then I was walking all the way from this town that's like an hour and a half outside of town on these country roads all the way to Victoria, and the police picked me up and they brought me to the hospital, and that's when I first got my diagnosis. It kind of, yeah. So go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, I can only imagine, but like, how did that feel? You know, you just got into an argument with your parents, you're trying to walk away, cool off, and all of a sudden you're thrown into a mental hospital?
Yeah, I guess you can call it that. I mean, the more, I guess, politically correct would be like the mental health ward of a hospital or something like that. It's not like its own big asylum.
Well, you know, over here we call it the mental hospital. So that's
okay. I mean, so, people do, but
I just want to know more of how, if you can remember, how you feeling in this moment.
More right now or back then?
Back then, when this is all happening to you.
Oh man, it was a wild ride. It was kind of like I'd have these weird epiphanies all the time where it's like the next thing in my life had some secret meaning, and it would blow my mind. I'd get all excited about it, and then that would turn into a different thing, and it's a hard feeling to kind of get across in words. It's like, and it's what people fear the most, is because they kind of like, one of the biggest fears for most people, especially people who don't have any things mentally wrong with them, is thinking, am I going insane? Did I really think that? Or oh, sorry, I have a cramp in my leg. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway. So I would feel like, I mean, so then you somehow, now did they try a whole bunch of different medications on you? How long did it take? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, this cramp is not going away. Maybe I'll lift up so I don't have to see my shirt. So yeah. I mean, they kind of have to put you through a trial of medication the first, I'm guessing, couple of years, because they might not know exactly what the diagnosis is. At first, it was schizophrenia for me, but then in 2015, it got changed to schizoaffective. And I guess I've been on a lot of medications that just totally zombified me, and that totally took me out of my own personal idea of who I am. But eventually, after I had this horrible like just narcissist of a psychiatrist, he retired. I got a new one, and something about female psychiatrists. The first one I got was like incredible. She said, honestly, it's like, we talk about all this mental health stuff in our meetings together, but at the end of the day, I just want to see you have a happy life. And I believed her. then I got another psychiatrist who was another lady. But yeah, no, this first psychiatrist, he put me on like a slew of medication. One time he tried to get me on a medication that was it was like a Seroquel, but it was like an experimental one. They didn't know the effects. And he said he would either give me the Seroquel or a sugar pill, and he's doing a study for it. So I was basically a guinea pig for him. And I'm like, no, not gonna happen. Sorry. Don't need blood tests every week for like 2 years.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah.
See, the reason I'm asking all of this is because I've been diagnosed as schizophrenic, and
yeah.
I had to go through this whole rendition, and I'm curious to know, like, did you feel at first that these prescription pills were even helping?
Yeah, for me, I strongly believe that it's up to the person and their belief in their self and their level of self-compassion and pride in what they do that's going to take them. The medication takes you like to here, but like your belief in yourself is like way up here. Like your attitude towards recovery. If you're gonna, no matter what you do, if you think that you're doing the right thing and you can feel in your heart that you're doing the right thing, then that's what's going to take you further, not just the pills, really.
Yeah, like I found in my experiences that they were making me a lot worse. They were sedating me, and then I was going and speaking to people that were reaffirming and reconvincing me of my conditions, more or less trying to get me to accept it, right? Instead of trying to find a way to change it. And it got to the point where I'm just like, I'm so doped up. That's what we call it over here. You're like a damn zombie. All you're doing
I totally
is
get you.
Yeah, they're so right, man. I'm so crazy. I'm a danger to people. If I don't take these pills, and then one day I just said, I'm not taking these no more. And that shit helped me monumentally. I still have my days, don't get me wrong, but the ability to have a grip on my mind again, that's the only way you could start building a strategy to try to normalize your thoughts and things of that nature. And did you ever have any illusions?
Oh yeah, we call like delusions. I've also had like I guess hallucinations.
Right.
So those are like oh man, 2020 I was getting into some bad stuff, and there was holy moly, hanging out with the wrong people, and I just ended up staying up for 3 nights on end, and I kind of I saw someone. I don't know if this is going to trigger anyone, but I saw this assassin who was going to come in and like end me.
Right.
And I was running down the streets, and I looked behind me, and I could see him running from what is it? What are the street lights, from street light to street light, chasing me. And that was a pretty intense experience. And that I've had like my TV in my living room over there. I came in and I saw people staring at me through the TV, even though it was off. I unplug it, look at it again, and they're still there. They cover it with a towel.
Do you feel like under these prescriptions that it's easier or harder to distinguish between delusional and reality?
Really, there's a lot of factors that go into it.
It sure is.
It's pretty complex. I wouldn't say that one way or another. You could be on medication and doing really well, or you could be on medication and it's just terrible for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, I can't say, but from my own experience,
just your own experiences,
my own experience. I'm not anti-medication.
Yeah.
But I am anti-bad meds, like clozapine and shit like that. Like, oh man.
You. And it's kind of what you hit the nail on. It happens over here too in the state, where you're trying to go somewhere to get some help, and they're trying to try out new drugs as if it's incentivized or something. They're like, well, I could give you these, and they've never really been tried, but if you want, I'm like, dude, I don't want to be the first person to try this and grow a third head, dude.
No, but I'd imagine a lot of them are being incentivized by
it has
money.
To be
like So, but I not to not to sway away from the conversation of mental health, but I think we should start getting into the whole music aspect of it, if you don't mind.
Dude, we can do whatever. Talk to me,
Awesome.
man. But you know what? I was guiding it because I want to say, hey, this is the mental health aspect. This is what was given to us as solutions. But what did you find that worked? I mean, how did you connect music to this? And did it help you, you know?
How I could twist it into the whole music thing with a good segue. I find that I read this book once, and it was saying, it was a book on writing. It was like a Norton's Guide on creative writing, and I've written for a long time in my life. And it said on the first page a little quote, and it said, "Though it is madness, there is method in it," which means obviously creativity is crazy. It's like right brain chaos. That's the true art. It's just chaos, and then we as people have to have some level of order to put order and chaos and method and madness and make a try to make a decent kind of, I guess, balance of both. And I thought, what better to be familiar with chaos in my own life from dealing with mental health systems and overcoming them, because I actually have overcome quite a few of them, and just living my best self, but being able to kind of dive into aspects of my consciousness when I'm making a song, when I'm on my computer and like getting into my creative flow. I could access parts of my brain that are like a bit out there and kind of see, oh, maybe I'll try this idea. Maybe I'm not going to try to fit into a mold of what is normal in music. I'm just going to be like, oh, that horn sounds cool, but what if I put a phaser and a distortion on it and like everything? And it like, the other day I was making a song, and I used a Swedish air raid siren, but I like tweaked it so much with like different sequencers and things that it ended up sounded like a riser. Oh, it's so cool. So I think without madness, you can't really be all too creative. But I won't be definite on that.
Yeah, so would you say that there's some benefits to this diagnosis as far as on the creative side?
I can only speak for myself, and I'm not going to say everyone has a benefit from having schizophrenia. For me and my own past experience, it's not about having it, it's about overcoming it. It's about having these tough obstacles in your life and being able to reach higher and get better and learn and struggle, but then get better at everything. And that's what creates the beautiful inspiration for art in me.
Yeah, because there's actually quite a few artists, well-known artists, I can't think of them on top of my head, that have had schizophrenia as well.
Juice WRLD.
See,
he's awesome, right? Yeah.
See, I've often wondered as well, because it definitely gives you a different thought pattern, right? You definitely think differently. And when it comes to creative, like, I don't know how anybody else feels, but like, let me just ask you, find out how you feel. How do you feel when you're making this music? How do you feel when you're changing sounds and adding effects? Like, do you feel how you feel when you're speaking to me, or do you feel like you're in a different zone or metaverse or something like that?
Well, I'm finding out now that I could have some ADHD kind of things going on. And I think what happens, I just feel like, okay, it's time to make a song. I sit down at my computer. I start looking through the instruments on my VSTs and samplers and everything. I start finding different sounds and things, and I just get hyper focused in on it. And it is like being in a different world. It's kind of like your entire attention gets taken up by it. And then there's this album, it's People Under the Stairs, OST. And at the start of the album is a quote, and it's like, I'm on a trip. What kind of trip? A musical trip. Oh man, are you on drugs? Yeah, what? Music. That's what I feel like when I make a song. It's like smoking a bowl and just sitting there and listening to music, but it's like smoking nothing and then making music. And
have you seen that Disney movie that has to do with music?
Oh, there's a lot.
Dude, I can't think of the name, bro. But it had 21 was on it. It was like this dude that was a musician and then he died. Anyways, they show a part where he's like, a certain musician just reaches this zone and like a luminescent light surrounds them, and they just they just vibrantly shine, bro. And that's that. I feel like that sometimes when I'm making music. Like the rest of the world is just pushed out, and it's just a black sphere. And it's just you, and then your soul is just like personifying and rising into the universe. Yeah. And it's I don't know if everyone feels that way, you know, but I wonder, like, is that a tribute? Because there are studies that have shown, or studies that have stated, that with schizophrenia comes a heightened imagination and creativity.
Yeah. The only problem with my imagination and creativity is sometimes I look around the world and I look for all the bad things, and I can imagine a lot. And when it's bad things, it doesn't help me in my mental state. So I've been learning a lot of things, whether it's mindfulness, stoicism, CBT, anything, any kind of like spirituality, and just being able to turn that imagination towards something that's more proactive, more like productive, and positive and stuff like that. And like you said, I get into a zone where I'm kind of like, I'm escaping everything, but I'm also creating a new world. And I know one of my friends, he likes to listen to my music a lot. And he always says, when I listen to your beat, it always kind of just creates an image in my mind. And sometimes he'll describe the image that comes to his mind, kind of like reading a book, but it's the sounds of like almost like a movie in your head when he's like zoning out and listening to my song. And I thought that's the coolest thing ever, because that's like the number one thing I want to do with my art is take people to another world, so to speak, in their head.
I can tell you that every time I hear your music, that happens with me. I don't know if it's because we have this commonality, but
yeah,
I think I've even commented a few times, you know what I mean? Just describing where it takes me, and it always sounds outlandish, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense to me. We only have 8 minutes left somehow. I don't know how it happened, but we only got 8 minutes left. So we gotta get back into the subject of, does the music help you heal, or does the music calm the chaos? Do you feel the music is medicinal?
I feel the music is like a snapshot of where I was. But as I progress throughout time and throughout my recovery, through every day, that I could be making music when I'm sad, I could be making music when I'm happy, but it all starts to wash into one thing. And then in the future, when I go back to my old songs and listen to them, I don't feel sad. I look at them with a more experienced set of eyeballs. You know, I look back at those times as necessary. Like, I don't have regrets from my past, because it was all leading up to this point. So
that's crazy. I believe that too. I believe all of the misfortunes in my life were just there to kind of mold me for the next journey, next battle. And when you realize that, then you're able to turn rage and anger from misfortune into insightfulness and mindfulness. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
It gets greater later. And what would you say to anyone out there that may be struggling with mental health issues, that may be finding it hard to find relatable people to speak to, or maybe just feel alone in general?
Number one, there's a huge community out there of people. If you reach out, there's so many people out there that are struggling with the same issue. A lot of the time, people think when they get diagnosed with mental illness that their entire life is forfeit from that point on, but that couldn't be less of the truth. Like, just find people who are like-minded with you, find a community, reach out. Don't be afraid to connect with people, and know that if you believe in yourself, and if you truly start to love yourself and figure out all the right things with yourself and be grateful and all those beautiful things, then it does get better. It will get better. It's not if it's going to get better, it will definitely get better.
That's beautiful and so true, man. Like, belief is so monumental in anything that we do these days, and it can be the defining moment of whether you ascend or descend. So that's beautiful what you're telling the people, and I know it's super relatable, and that's why we're doing this, people. We want you to know you're not alone in these battles. I mean, there's people dealing with this every single day, trying to get a grip on reality. And I could say for myself, music has helped me beyond anything I could have ever believed to have found as far as relief goes. And do you feel the same way about that?
I feel that music is beautiful, and it's created an opportunity for me to meet so many other people that feel the same way about music. I can't go a day without it. I don't know about you, but it's such a big part of my life that it's so, when somebody, doesn't understand my music, or doesn't, or hates my music, or dislikes it, or something like that, it feels like they're attacking me. I have to separate that for a second. Like, no, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Not everyone's gonna like your stuff, but to me, it's important, and I love it.
Yeah, see, I had a hard time with that too, but then I just came to the realization that, listen, man, my story, my music was crafted in such a dark place. If that can shine light to just one person, it's worth it. So if there's thousands of people that don't like it, but it was able to help one person out of a hard time, that's worth every ounce of energy that you put into it. And
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Thank you so much for having me on the show, man.
oh yes, sir. We got at least we got like at least 2 more minutes that we could do. We can still talk a little bit before we do the outro.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're here talking about, right? Like, mental health is hard and incomprehensible. But you know what? I could say I've always found a friend in music, and it always makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah. Especially, like, I listen to a lot of heavy metal. I listen to a lot of jazz. I listen to country. I listen to rap, hip hop, folk, anything electronic. And it's always a human story, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do with the context of your music, is you're trying to relate to people. And that's exactly it. Creating a community of, whether it's fans, or whether it's supporters, or whether it's fellow artists, or whatever. It's getting together and sharing, almost like, I don't know, ancient days around a fire, just sharing and singing. And it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, man. And what would you say to anyone out there that's struggling with belief? Because it seems like,
oh yeah,
belief has been a very powerful tool for you. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't believe in myself for a very long time, but you're probably at the best opportunity to, if you do believe in yourself and your abilities, you start to realize your potential, and that builds over time. I'm not going to say that just by virtue of me saying believe in yourself that you're going to do it over time, but have that goal in the future, that what am I going to look like as a person? How am I going to feel if I was my best friend, if I was my best supporter, if I could take myself wherever I needed to go and I could do anything? And try to figure that out in your mind. Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And then you'll slowly start to kind of gradually make your way there, hopefully.
I like that, bro. And what about to your fans, your listeners, or anyone that's listening? What would you like them to know about you personally?
Know that I make music for myself. I make music that I like to listen to. And when my fans or any listeners really appreciate that, just know it's one in one with my personality. So when people kind of come to me and they say, "Oh, this sounded amazing," or "This sounded like," I don't know, someone said it sounded like Jay Dilla or Nujabes or something like that, and I was like, "Dude, that is the biggest compliment ever," because I that's me. That's my blood, sweat, and tears on the page. I may not work as hard as some artists, but this is something I've done for I think the last 6 years. I've been doing it like 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 songs a week every week for the last 5 or 6 years. So I got a huge catalog.
Yeah. So world, listen to how monumental it is to have somebody listen to an independent artist's music, relay how they felt about it, how it made them feel. It literally illuminates our souls. So like, when you give us a little bit of time of the day, it means everything. Now we got to listen to your song. We only got 1:49 seconds.
The chillness. Yes,
we're jumping it on. Let's get that thing going. Yes, real quick. That makes me feel like I'm running through a Mario tunnel, jumping over lava with little birds trying to attack me, bro. Like, but it shifted
Angry
from
birds.
tranquility. It was like tranquil beach scenery, and then it was like, oh my god, I'm running, I'm trying to jump. It was dope, bro. But we only got a few seconds, man. Thank you for rocking out with us. Real Talk Radio, Unmasking. We're gonna continue to show you the souls behind the words, and today was just an example of that. I hope you have a great day, bro.
Love you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much.